Friends, we are doing first chapter of history, the first war of independence. So we have done the causes of this world war. Under these causes we have done political causes and religious and social causes, economic causes. Today we are going to start with the military causes in this video. Let us start with the military causes. Number 1, resentment of the spies or the Indian soldiers. So the Indian soldiers, those who were in the British army, they were not happy with the rules, regulation and policies of the Britishers. Why? First reason was poor prospectus of promotion. So there was not proper chances for the Indian soldiers for their promotions, higher ranks, they were just for the Britishers or British soldiers only. Second one was the low salaries. British soldiers or the Englishmen, they were getting more salaries, but Indian, whether they were on the same rank, they were getting very less salary or very less income as compared to the English soldiers. So they were not happy with this kind of partiality. Third was the ill treatment or the social distance between British officers and the Indian soldiers. So the British soldiers, they were behaving with Indian soldiers just like Indians are their servants only. And moreover, British soldiers, they were not having any kind of experience with the Indians or the Indian kings, their customs, nothing related to this. On the other hand, the Indian soldiers, those who were working for the Britishers, they were capturing Indian land portions one after another just for the Britishers only, but in return they didn't get anything. So in the proclamations, one it was said that what has been the return for the blood that we shed, only that the British spoiled our people and degraded our princes. So when they realize that they are just destroying their own country and under the service of these Britishers, in return what they are getting? Nothing. They are giving their blood for the Britishers, they are giving their lives for the Britishers, but in return what they are getting? Nothing. Only their people, those who are getting spoiled by the Britishers, and their princes, those who are degraded by the Britishers only. So now they were not happy, they were just against the Britishers. Then second cause was the faulty distribution of troops. Troops means group of soldiers. So the system of distribution of soldiers were faulty. Somewhere or at some places, British soldiers were more, and at some other places, none of the British soldier was there. Only Indian soldiers were appointed. Like Delhi, Allahabad, there they had no British army in these places. Moreover, English people or England, they were engaged in many wars outside India also, means in the other area of the world they were fighting wars. So they were busy there. So this was the good chance for the Indian soldiers, as they were just waiting for a suitable opportunity, and now this was opportunity for them to revolt against the Britishers. Third is the disproportion between India and British troops. What was this? Actually, the Indian troops where British soldiers were there, they were very less in number. Only 45,322 British soldiers were there, and on the other side, 2 lakh and 33,000 Indian soldiers were appointed in the British army. So now it means maximum number of Indian soldiers were there, and easily they can revolt against the Britishers, and it gave them courage to take up arms against the English. Fourth is discontent and disaffection in the Bengal army. So Bengal army, in this Bengal army, the soldiers were mainly from the high caste Hindu families. Okay, so when it was announced that in Anglo-Afghan wars they had to cross Sindh. It means they had to cross the water body to go outside of India. But according to the religion of these Indians, it was forbidden that they should not cross the water bodies. It will spoil their religion. So they were not ready to accept this. So they were against that. Now the loss of prestige in Afghan wars. In first Afghan war, Britishers were totally defeated. So now Indian soldiers realized that when they, means those Afghans, during that Afghan wars, if they can defeat the Britishers, why not Indians? So they were ready for a kind of revolt because now they were having the courage to challenge the Britishers in India. Seventh point is General Service Enlistment Act. So this act was passed in the year of 1856. According to this act, it was announced that Bengal army should be ready for service anywhere, whether inside the country or outside the country. It means whenever they will be asked to cross the water body, they must be ready. So Bengal army was just against the Britishers due to this act. Then the immediate cause. Immediate cause was the introduction of Enfield rifles. So these Enfield rifles, when introduced in army, the cartridges of these Enfield rifles, it is said that those cartridges were greased with the fat of cow and pigs. And Hindus, they, means according to Hindus, cow was the sacred for them, and Muslims considered pig as unclean. So both were not ready to use these cartridges. So they just refused, and totally the army, the soldiers or the Indian sepoys were ready to revolt against the Britishers. So these were the reasons why Indian soldiers revolted against the Britishers under the heading of military causes. Next topic is given the events of the war. So under this particular heading, the events of wars, events are written related to different places. What happened in Meerut, what happened in Delhi, Kanpur, etc. And the main role played by whom. So just go through these topics. Now the next main topic of this chapter is the causes of our failure. So first time in the history of India, Indians united together. They revolt against the Britishers. Million in number Indians were there in this war. Still we failed. We were failed in this war. Why? Many reasons are there behind our failure. First of all, and the main one, is lack of coordinates. So it was said, or it was supposed, that this revolt will begin on 30th May 1857. But at the place of Meerut, due to that Enfield rifles that just we discussed, this revolt was started on May 10th, means many days before the fixed date. It was started over there. So other areas were not ready for that. Just this, because of this revolt was weakened. Second is the lack of efficient leadership. Particular areas where revolt was started, they were having their leaders, and they were, means very capable persons. They can achieve what they want. But the main problem was that their activities were confined to a narrow area, means uh, from where they belonged to, they were active there only, and rest of the country or rest of the parts, those people who were a member of this revolt, they were not having a kind of good leader. Then is the superior equipment and resources of the British people and their soldiers, they were having modern equipments, modern armaments, and Indian armaments were inferior to them. And moreover, Britishers were having far reaching telegraph system also. They can convey their message to other troops also. But on the other hand, Indians were not having this kind of modern facilities. Fourth is the war was localized. As already we discussed that particular rulers or the leaders, they were concerned to their own area only, and that war was localized. Only the areas which were having main problem with the Britishers, like those rulers under the policy of lapse or due to any other reason where rulers were against the Britishers, this revolt was started mainly. But other areas like Punjab, they remain absolutely quiet. They didn't took a part in this. Then is the no scheme of a national state. So here we talk that these areas were not a part of this revolt. Why? Because there was none kind of scheme of national state. The areas, main areas of this revolt, they were fighting for the sake of their own independence only, independence of their local area only. They don't have, they didn't have any kind of concern to state as a India, means national state for all India. This was not a kind of idea behind this revolt. They were seeking freedom for their own local areas only. So these were the all reasons that were responsible for the failure of this revolt. I hope you all are getting. Our next topic is results and consequences of the war. So this was the first war of independence. Whether we were not successful, still we got a lot. So very important this war was. We got a lot from this war. Many changes were there in the British rule even. So let us start with the first one. End of company's rule and changes introduced in the administrative setup. So after this war, whether we were defeated, total setup was changed. Now the rule of company, East India Company, it was totally finished. Now we were under the direct control of British government, or we can say under the control of British Crown. Then one act was passed on 2nd August 1858 for the better government of India. So that was in favor of Indians. Then the act of 1858 that was passed on 2nd August, it transferred the government of India from the company to the crown, means from the company we were under the control of crown. Then company's board of control and the court of directors were abolished, because now company was not having any kind of rule over us, so that board of directors were abolished. And the salaries that were earlier paid to them, other allowances that they were getting from the revenue that was collected from India, totally that system was changed. Thirdly, the Secretary of State was to be assisted by the Indian Council consisting of 15 members. It means they will be a part of government. Fourthly, appointments to the civil service were to be made by open competition. It means those who are capable, they can be a part of the civil services. And the last one is the Governor General received additional title of Viceroy. And while he remained the Governor General for the provinces under the British rule, he came to be known as the Viceroy. Viceroy means the representative of the crown. It means now the Governor General during that time he will be the representative of the crown directly, as well as the representative of the native princes, the rajas, the nawabs, or the rulers, those who were ruling over small parts of India. Then afterwards, Queen's proclamation incorporating these changes was made public at Allahabad, and on 1st November 1858 by Lord Canning as the first Viceroy and Governor General of India, this was announced. Next one, that positive change was the policy towards the Indian princes and chiefs. Queen Victoria, she declared first that the British government would not annex the Indian states, those Indian states which were free earlier or are free. Further, their territories will not be annexed by the Britishers. It means they are free from a kind of fear. Then, second, all the treaties that were done with the princes had concluded with the company would be honored, will be continued, and their rights of adoption and succession were also recognized. It means now those who were not having their own sons, they can adopt their son, and earlier due to this reason and that lapse policy, earlier they were not able to adopt, it was totally changed. Now they can adopt, and adopted successors will be recognized as the next emperors. It means these changes, as all these changes were due to that revolt only, these changes were favorable for the Indians, common persons, as well as for the rulers. Since Nana Sahib had taken an active part in the war and had fled into the jungles of Nepal, never to return again, the office of Peshwa was abolished. As he never returned back, just because of this reason, Peshwa office was abolished, because he was the last of the Peshwas. With the death of Bahadur Shah, who was deported to Rangoon earlier, the Mughal imperial dynasty founded by Babur came to an end. So these were the two other historical events with that the Peshwa as well as the Mughal rule here in India was totally came to an end. Then is the recognition of the army. The policy of balance and counter check was adopted. So what they did in this military administration, the number of soldiers, that system was totally changed. First, the proportion of the British to Indian soldiers was increased. Number of Britishers were increased in the army. Then number of Indian soldiers should not exceed twice that of the European. For example, if 10 European soldiers are there, then number of Indian soldiers must not be more than 20. Then artillery and other effective weapons of warfare were reserved for the British troops only, means Indians were not there to use these weapons. All key positions in army were reserved exclusively for the Britishers. Earlier also it was for the Britishers, but now there was none kind of chance for the Indians to get that kind of positions, the main important positions. Indian soldiers belonging to different castes and creeds were mixed up. Why? So that they cannot do any kind of conspiracy against the Britishers. And for the same reason, supply of newspaper, journals, nationalist publications to the soldiers were also stopped, so that they cannot get any kind of information from other areas. Then is the solemn promises made to the people of India. Other promises that Queen Victoria in her proclamation, means the promises by her, what those were, that they will not interfere with the religious beliefs of the people. Earlier, common man was against the Britishers because they were feeling that their religion will be spoiled, or they are spoiling their religion, or they will convert their religion, or they will, as a English education, English uh, customs, Bible was introduced, so they were fear, they were having fear with the conversion of Christianity, means now that thing was not there. Then the queen also promised equal treatment to all her subjects also. All her subject means all the people under them, whether they were Indians or Europeans, so equal treatment will be done with them. Like education will be given to all those who are able, they can get the post according to their capability. Then an official pardon was granted to people accepting such persons as had been guilty of the murder of the British subjects. Rest of the people were free. Those who took part in this revolt, only those who murdered some Britishers, Englishmen, only they were means some kind of punishments were given to them. Then the proclamation ended with a promise that the material and moral advancement of the people would henceforth be the main concern of the government. So they will do their best for the upliftment of Indians. But in reality, all these promises were the promises by name only, because they were not fulfilled. Still, Indians were having a kind of hope. Then is the conservative elements gained ground. So, with the conservative elements gained ground means, as it was promised that they will not interfere in the religion, the customs of Indian. So it was not good for Indians, as many social evils like sati, child marriage, that were abolished due to the Britishers only. But in future they will not interfere in that type of evils, to remove that type of evils from this Indian society. So this was there for the progress of the conservative elements in India. Means now again, those who were means having a faith in these type of social evils, they started to make that type of activities once again. Then policy of divide and rule. So after this revolt, Britishers started to use the policy of divide and rule, because now they were aware about the strength of India. So the strength of India, or the strength of Indians, were in the unity of Hindu and Muslim, because Hindu and Muslim both took part in this revolt. So now Britishers were aware, if they want to weaken the Indians, the division in between these two, Hindus and Muslims, is must. So they started to do type of activities, conspiracies, so that they can divide Hindus and Muslims. Next is the economic exploitation. So Britishers already exploiting Indians, they continue with that exploitation. Earlier East India Company, now directly the British government. First, the number of Englishmen in India, both private individuals and members of services, were increased. It means their salaries, allowances, everything will be charged on Indians only. And India became a dumping ground for the goods that were manufactured in England. So now India was a kind of market for their products. Then there was a rapid rise in the indebtedness of the peasants. They were under the heavy burden of debts. Then the British invested their surplus capital. So those who were working here, they were getting good salaries. The surplus of their capital, the surplus of their income, they started to invest in India, in railways, in coal mines, jute mines, shipping, etc. But this had to pay heavy interest and dividends on the capital invested in India. So Indians had to pay for that. And the British fought the Bhutan War, the Burma War, and the war with Afghans, whose cost both in men and money Indians had to bear only. Then is the rise of nationalism in India. This was against in favor of Indians. So there was a rise. British soldiers were guilty of their most inhuman acts, and many Indian nationalists, many freedom fighters, many intellectual persons, they were there to fight for the sake of India's freedom as well for the upliftment of Indians. So socialism earlier there, now nationalism was there. Intellectual movement was also started with the help of many leaders. India was on the way to get their freedom from the Britishers. So this was again the positive part of this revolt of 1857. Last topic is its nature. Some are saying this war was a war of independence, but some other are saying that it was just a spy mutiny. What you will write if this will come in your paper? First of all, you can write that it is a spy mutiny. Why? Because due to the partiality with Indian spies, due to less chances of promotion, due to lower salaries, due to the Enfield rifles, Indian soldiers were not happy. Moreover, they didn't want to cross the water bodies, so they were really unhappy with the Britishers, so they revolted against. That's why we can say it was a spy mutiny. But it is not right, because those spies were also a part of India. Moreover, million of Indians, whether they were peasants, whether they were students, whether they belonged to any other section of Indian society, all took part in this revolution or war of independence. So we can not say that that was simply a spy mutiny. This was really a war that was fought by the Indians. So this was really a Indian independence means for the sake of India's independence. This was the revolt. Okay, that's why Jawaharlal Nehru wrote in November 1932 that revolt developed into a war of Indian independence against the hated foreigners. So this was a war of independence only, not just a spy mutiny. With this, our chapter is over here. Just go through this video, try to get the topics. Next time we will come with another video. Thank you.